Anthony. In that case, they got over 4,300 leads, and they were doing lots of large-scale searches. Here in the Maleah case, Tim told me he got some criticism for not doing that. The reason is because they did not have specific enough information to organize a search. This is that kind of specific information. Okay. And this one could prove to be as specific as they get.
Larry, Cheryl Mercedes here. That area behind you, looks very specific, as you mentioned, and we heard earlier that it was maybe a 15-square-foot area where they were going to process evidence. Have you heard that, or have you heard any indication of how long they're going to be out there at that scene this evening?
That I have not heard. The moment that we pulled up, we saw some of the Houston police detectives. They were in a pickup truck that was literally parked right behind me. They were talking with authorities here. They talked to one another, sort of huddled up, got in their pickup truck, and they left. I have not been able to talk with the sheriff here. The sheriff actually is over here to our right there in the cowboy hat on the phone. When I get a chance, I'll flag him down and we'll chat with him and see what we might be able to learn. But really, I haven't been able to determine much more than the fact that they say that the remains that were found here are in the custody of the state police, Arkansas State Police. It is being taken to the local coroner. That is where they will do some determination on who this child might be, because at this point, all we know, it is the remains of a child.
Larry, have you seen Tim Miller out there, and have you been able to speak with him?
We saw Tim Miller. He was in that pickup truck. He waved as he went by, but I'm not sure where they were going. It was all business. He didn't open the door, didn't roll down the window. We'll catch up with him later, I hope.
One of the things I'm curious about, Larry, and I know you just arrived there, so forgive me if this is not something you have an answer to right now, but they started searching in a different place today, the wrong place, based on the information they thought they had, as Darion Vince tried to, pinpoint where he was. And yet it seems that how they ended up in the correct place was just kind of, I won't say luck, but they heard about a bag that a litter crew had found, and it sounds like they put two and two together, but just because that litter crew had spotted a bag, 10 or 12 miles away from the original search site, it appears they got a little lucky today.
To Houston police, to the local authorities here, rung a bell with someone, right? That this person saw this bag 3 days ago, and there was a crew that was out mowing, and you can tell some of this area, that actually look over here to my left, you can see the grass has been freshly mowed, but there was a crew out here mowing earlier. Clearly rung a bell with someone, and that's the kind of break you need in cases like this when you talk to detectives. Sometimes it is luck. In fact, an FBI agent, a retired FBI agent and prosecutor I talked with, called it calculated luck, which means you create an environment by throwing every bit of information you can out publicly, right, to the public, to people who potentially saw something that was suspicious. And you let that information marinate, and you hope that the right person sees your call for a tip, picks up the phone and responds, or in this case, picks up a radio and says, hey, the bag that you are looking for, we may have found here in Fulton rather than in Hope, which is where Darion Vince, according to Quantilex, says he left that bag.
Well, certainly that narrowed the area quite a bit, and then they were close, and a little bit of luck there helped them out. So before we let you go, Larry, a lot of people have written in on our digital platforms, and we feel the same way here. The sheriff's right behind you there, James Singleton, and could you just extend a big thank you from all of us here? When he got that call, he didn't even know Maleah Davis's name. He just knew there was a missing child, and he put 8 deputies on the highway, going up and down, looking for anything that they could find. And that's just, I'm sure, a big thank you from everybody here for doing that for somebody he didn't even know, and a case that wasn't even his.
That's what's up.
Yeah, we definitely will extend that to him when I get a chance to speak to him. I haven't spoken to him since I've been here. He was there moments ago. I'm not sure where he went, but I'll grab him and we will talk. I'll try to get more information, and certainly we will share those regards from the Houstonians.
All right, Larry, thanks again. We know you just got there. We'll let you go. Do some more gathering there, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Well, Larry certainly get his feet wet, if you will, there in Arkansas. He's got a lot of, you don't want to say catching up, but we've had the KSLA reporter there working with us all afternoon. So Larry now there is going to meet the sheriff, who we've already met, the sheriff in Hempstead County, as well as hopefully try to get with Tim Miller. Like,
Yeah.
Just think about that again. I go back to those interviews where he just sounded so sad and at an end, if you will, in the search days after this, and now to hopefully have some closure.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was great perspective, I think, too, that Larry showed us just how, first of all, how kind of isolated that area is, but just how it's a quick on and right back onto the highway.
Almost like a U-turn.
Flip a U-turn.
Right.
You know,
and they heard
dump the bag and then right back, probably headed right back to Houston.
Right, and we want to remind people, a lot of folks are asking on here, and maybe they're just tuning in, why Arkansas? Why Arkansas? Well, we mentioned that he has family in St. Louis, and so he may be very familiar with that path and may have just taken off and decided, let me drive in that direction, and then wham, as you mentioned.
Thank you, Nana.
Just thrown out like trash, that bag, unfortunately. And that's his connection to that area, and that's how he knows the road.
Appreciate that, Nana. Shout out to Nana. Make sure y'all support the show. Cash out preferably, because they take 40%. YouTube are some mother freaking thieves. They take 40% and it takes us 30 days to be able to touch the money that y'all send us. Let's get back to this. Shout out to, what's up, Ebony? Shout out to all of these reporters in Houston. Like, they have literally been on this case all day since the story broke around noon. So about 6 or 7 hours. Shout out to Nana once again.
We're assuming he has traveled that way before. He has family in that direction. That's why Arkansas.
I was mentioning that area that Larry talked about earlier, late last week, the search area that investigators say that, hey, we don't know where this guy was for this amount of time. And he just said El Paso to the border of U.S.-Mexico, down to the Gulf, all the way to the panhandle of Florida, up to Kansas. Yeah. That was the search area that investigators did.
Wow.
It would have been impossible. It would have been impossible to find the remains of this little girl if someone hadn't said something.
Yeah, we needed to hear it from someone. And you mentioned we played that soundbite from last week.
But again, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It was the chief, correct?
Right.
Acevedo mentioned, somebody knows.
If Dairy Vance wants to help this case, he can tell us
where the body is. There.
But even with that information, you heard Larry talking about they needed some, what do they call it? Calculated luck?
Yes, calculated luck.
Yeah. They were searching, and you brought up a great point there. You were searching in an area, granted not far from here, but they started this search this afternoon.
Fair use.
Exactly.
And this is because, and I don't remember, did they say the ground crew saw this bag today? Because I think they said 3 days ago.
A litter crew saw it 3 days ago, and according to the sheriff earlier, he was saying that their supervisor told them, leave it.
Yeah.
Leave it. They didn't know what it was. They just saw there was blood on it. They said, let it go, and
it
then
smelled really
and it's foul odor, worms, and blood is what they said. And they said, okay, let it go. And now the grass crew went out there right behind them 3 days later, and boom, it's there.
Ran over it.
Exactly.
Can y'all believe that she had worms all over her? They said just leave the bag. They didn't ran over it with a lawnmower. I mean, they just completely disrespected this baby girl from day one. Just threw her on the side of the road, y'all. Ebony, I cannot believe this.
A bush hog, you would imagine.
Right. Yes, that's what the sheriff was saying.
Heartbreaking to hear that happened.
Yeah.
It's horrible. They didn't know what they had hit, obviously.
No.
That's just to go back into how long you think these investigators are going to be at that scene. This was contents, remains.
Now, Brittany, when I say we coming for you, meaning, see, here's the difference between all those other groups and Ingrid's group. Ingrid's group is called Arrest Maleah Davis's mother, Brittany Bowens. Y'all groups were just trying to find out what happened to her. So all y'all groups that didn't want me to promote in there for Maleah having ego trips and all that foolishness, y'all groups are over because we found out what happened to Maleah. But Ingrid's group can still go on because we want Maleah Davis's mother arrested. So read it and weep, listen to it and weep. All you people that had ego trips, the moderators in them groups that be having, what do you call it? Like, calm down, baby. It's serious because it's about Maleah and justice. But it's not that serious for y'all to be not approving posts. Like, calm down, baby. That's why you won't get approved for that loan. That's why you won't get approved for my freaking food stamps. That's why you won't get approved for housing, because you made it more difficult for this baby to get justice because you had an ego and you was taking your unpaid my job a little too seriously.
Possibly a little girl in a bag, and now it's obviously spread, and they meticulously have to put this back together.
They gonna learn today,
Obviously,
Ebony.
you hope that they can rush an autopsy in this. I've seen them turn around autopsies in 24 hours to confirm an ID. Could possibly
But
be
you
the
know
case
what
in this,
though?
but
You know what though, Miss Jordan? Here's the problem. A lie detector test is not admissible in a court of law. However, they can use that to determine whether they're gonna lock her up or not, put her in custody and charge her with something. So I definitely would do that, Miss Blanisha. I definitely would do that.
you think about when this is an adult, right? When you're talking about someone who's not a 4-year-old.
Yeah, Angel. They found
It's like broken bones. You can go back and see where they healed.
They found her remains in Arkansas around noon today.
There's that kind of stuff in your medical history that makes this process so much easier
But they already have DNA
for a
from
medical
Maleah.
examiner.
Right, they do.
They have
That
blood.
is good.
They have blood because they
blood in the
confirm the
bag.
blood.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So hopefully, there's not a backlog at the crime lab in Arkansas.
Right. And you mentioned the jurisdiction, and we've got to
Right.
get it here. So that might put a little bit of time on it, but surely they'll do this as quickly as they can
Right.
without jeopardizing, obviously, any part of the investigation.
People think that if they throw somebody's body out, that the, nature and the elements will get rid of, like, evidence. And most of the time, that is not the case unless it's in water. But to God be the glory. I think Big Brit is going down. Shout out to Nana again for her donation. Make sure y'all hit up that cash out.
But as soon as we learn an ID, my
It
goodness.
is worth noting, going back to what we heard earlier, that this will be an Arkansas State Police case for now,
Right.
at least the remains.
Right.
And the remains that were found there will go to the coroner's office there. We heard likely Little Rock.
Did y'all hear that? Because the remains were found in another state, it's now Arkansas's case. I don't know how I feel about that. What do y'all feel about it? Do you think it'd be a better chance in Arkansas, the case being tried in Arkansas as opposed to Houston?
From our
Yes,
reporter
correct.
from KSLA.
Yep.
Likely will go to
Little
the
Rock.
crime lab in Little Rock, where the remains will be processed, the evidence will be collected,
And
likely
then-
where an autopsy will be performed,
Right.
and then
Medical examiner from Houston.
Harris County will make that
will travel
drive
there.
to Little Rock,
Oh,
likely,
wow.
and pick up these remains and bring this back to Harris County. And that is a big part. I brought it up earlier. That wouldn't be happening if they didn't believe this was Maleah Davis. There would be no reason they didn't believe.
Exactly. There's no reason to go through all that if they didn't believe it was Maleah. They have to go through proper procedures best for the girl, because all that matters is being. Exactly, Angel.
This was Maleah Davis to bring those remains
they need
back
that
here.
forensic confirmation to say it. It's just
And you know what? Knowing Brittany, they probably don't even have dinner records. She probably didn't even get that girl the proper stuff that mothers do for their children, like having dentist appointments and all that. Like, how are we going to determine if this is her or not? Like, hopefully they have some type of, the DNA that they found in the home can be compared to the remains. So,
it is heartbreaking.
Any questions?
We're watching them.
very
Watching
heartbreaking.
them come in here. Just a lot of people very sad and heartbroken by this, saying, rest in peace, little one. Sherry just wrote that in. Someone asking about who dropped him off at the hospital.
We'd like to know that.
That's an open
sure.
that's an open
Yeah.
question as well. That we don't have answered yet from detectives.
It was I want to say almost a week before they found the car. And I remember listening to the 911 call of a taxi cab driver in that parking lot there
That's true.
in Fort Bend County. She was someone who would watch this, and in her 911 call said, "I know this is the car." They gave the license plate on the news last night. That's how vigilant people in this community have been with
Paying
this
attention.
case. to know the license plate number from the car and be able to look out for it. This is a woman who was likely either going to get a fare or stopping in that parking lot. She said she was going to go get a drink at a restaurant in the shopping center. In her 911 call, she said that's where she'd be when the investigators got there. But to think that people were to the point in this case to try to bring this little girl home, that they had written down the license plates. I know this is the license plate. I saw it on the news last night. And that's where investigators, as she said in her 911 call, I don't want to go close to the car because I don't want to see a dead baby.
Wow.
And it was heartbreaking to hear that in the call. But the community has played a huge part in this case. And keeping it alive.
Any car look like it.
Right.
Emailing, calling, just letting us know.
Right.
I've seen people write in today saying they went out and looked themselves.
Right.
They just started driving around looking.
A lot of volunteer
looking
groups,
for Maleah.
yes.
Not with EquiSearch, just driving around in their car, hoping to see a little girl walking around somewhere.
And you hear even children.
Not with EquiSearch. EquiSearch doesn't want us amateurs looking for Maleah.
Asking their parents, about Maleah.
There was so much hope in Houston, and there was so much hope across the country that this was not how this story was going to end.
And you know what? Oh, go ahead.
No, if this is Maleah Davis, when this is confirmed that it's Maleah Davis, no matter what, we know that they're someone's child.
That's what I was gonna say. Regardless if it's her or not, that's somebody else's child. That opens up a can of worms.
We know that these are remains of a human child, so it's heartbreaking completely. And all belief would be that it is Maleah Davis.
And what really got me too is when Jason Miles went out to the daycare and did those interviews with her classmates, and just you could feel the emotion. She's there, you see her name on the bins, and she's missing from the class, and she really was a special girl that brought so much joy to so many people, and that's why she's gotten, like Mayor Sylvester Turner said, on the minds and hearts of everyone.
This was Houston's little girl, and
she was
100% little girl.
This definitely was Houston's little girl.
Oh man, just awful.
Anna Stanley wrote in and asked, why was the bag left, the trash bag? If it was seen in that condition 3 days ago by workers, why in the world was it not reported?
Well, they're supervised. They reported
Yeah.
to the supervisor, which is probably standard procedure for them, and the supervisor, according to the sheriff, said, just leave it. But who knows what he may have been communicating with officials, we don't know.
You don't want to point a finger.
No.
But
No.
can you imagine the mindset of this ground crew working in Arkansas? They don't have a missing little girl case there.
No.
This would have been on their minds to think this could possibly be Maleah Davis. They weren't actively searching. There wasn't an EquiSearch there. There weren't people searching for cars or missing little girls walking down the street. You have to think in the back of their head, they were probably, it could be remains from someone hunting or anything like that. I can tell you at one point here, in an EquiSearch search, they thought they had found remains for a human, and it turned out to be dead fish.
You're correct.
So you don't want to point a finger at a ground crew that simply saw a bag with blood on it and they didn't think anything of it, because they weren't in an aspect like we have been for 31 days here in Houston, where everything sends up a red flag.
And we made phone calls to some authorities in that area when we heard it was about 5 hours in that direction, and about 3 or 4 of them said, no, we're not familiar with it. So you're right. But the sheriff did. The sheriff there in Hampstead, because he obviously had been contacted by authorities.
All right, we're going to take a break here. Here's what we're going to do. First of all, we hope you'll stay with us here digitally. And if you haven't signed up for our push alerts yet, you need to do that. What that is you sign up for notifications, and then we let you know when we're about to go live again with new information. So people who had that signed up for today knew we were going on the air with this critical information about Maleah Davis at 11:45 in the morning. A lot of people have stayed with us the entire time, and we appreciate it.
What I tell you, they've been doing this all day.
With KHOU, if you haven't done that already. Watch us at 10 o'clock for the very latest, and we'll be back here digitally if anything happens between now and then. But what we're going to leave you with right now is a phone conversation that I and Lynn Cannon had with Quanell X and Reka as well. It was a while ago, but we talked to him in the late afternoon hours. And anyway, it's a 34-minute conversation, but there was a lot of very interesting things he said, behind-the-scenes stuff, dealing with Brittany Bowens, the mom. You guys have been asking about her. What happened in jail today when he was talking to the stepfather. A lot of stuff. It's a long but very, very compelling conversation, and a lot of you have been asking to hear that again. So we're going to run that for you now. It's 34 minutes long. I think you'll get something out of this.
Absolutely.
We'll be back with you if anything comes up. And don't forget to watch us on KHOU on TV at 10 o'clock.
All right. Give us an update right now.
All I know I can tell you is that he told me where the body was. He told me what he did with it. He told me where he dumped it and how he dumped the body. And that he had taken it to Hope, Arkansas. And the sheriff in Hope, Arkansas has confirmed that they have found the bag that was described and with a foul odor coming from it with blood all over the bag.
Quanell, that bag was found about 12 miles, though, from the initial place they looked, a little closer to Texarkana. It's in Fulton, but closer to Texarkana, so back a little closer to Houston. Is there any way that you can think of to account for the different location?
So the audio stopped at the end. I don't know why on this original recording, but I just wanted to let you guys know that if y'all want to hear the rest of that Quanell interview that he did with KHU in its entirety, then y'all can go to KHU, just type in KHU Maleah, and y'all can find it out. But and y'all also want to hear the interview with her sister, her half sister, y'all go to the last live I did. But anyway, I really want y'all to join Team Tiff on Facebook. It's free, of course. I need y'all to do that because I'm going to be having a live tonight. Only exclusive stuff. It's stuff that can't be for the public, only for Team Tiff. Because I'm going to be talking about going to Houston and covering a trial and all that type of stuff. That don't need to be for her family to see. Definitely don't need for Big Brit to see anything we got going on. So just make sure you type in Team Tiff, TiffanyMDraper.com. And hey, it's easy. I'll also place the link to the group in the description, and I'll make it the pinned post. No excuses. Let's get it, Team Tiff.